That he who blesseth himself in the earth shall bless himself in the God of truth. And he that sweareth in the earth shall swear by the God of truth, because the former troubles are forgotten, and because they are hid from mine eyes. For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind. But be ye glad and rejoice forever in that which I create. For behold, I create Jerusalem a rejoicing, and her people a joy. And I will rejoice in Jerusalem, and joy in my people. And the voice of weeping shall be no more heard in her, nor the voice of crying. There shall be no more thence an infant of days, nor an old man that hath not filled his days. For the child shall die 100 years old. But the sinner, being 100 years old, shall be accursed. And they shall build houses and inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards and eat the fruit of them. They shall not build, and another inhabit. They shall not plant, and another eat. Whereas the days of a tree are the days of my people, and mine elect shall long enjoy the work of their hands. They shall not labor in vain, nor bring forth for trouble, for they are the seed of the blessed of the Lord, and their offspring with them. And it shall come to pass that before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear. The wolf and the lamb shall feed together, and the lion shall eat straw like the bullock, and dust shall be the serpent's meat. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, saith the Lord.
The Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and he's getting ready to set us up over the planet Earth. And just how he used Esau to take over the earth, what he called manifest destiny, he's going to use his men, the children of Israel, his elect, with his son Yahushua, leading with our king, King David, 12, the whole house of David, all right? They gonna take over the new world. They gonna take over the planet Earth and establish righteousness, just as Esau took over the earth and established wickedness. The children of Israel are gonna take it over and establish righteousness. That's how this thing gonna go, man.
But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever.
All right. Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS, who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers. And peace and blessing salutation to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, pushing to get up out of there. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Salakia. And what I want to get into today is a lesson going into sellouts, are back in their lots. Sellouts, of old are back in their lots. Okay. And I want to get this here. Okay. And then we'll expound on it. I got a few things I want to go into. But when you go into, all right, 1 Corinthians 14 and 32, It says, and the spirits of the prophets are subject to the prophets. Okay. And you will have to take this concept as, the true prophets are back doing what the prophets would do. All right, what the prophets of old would do. Okay. Then you have to understand that the sellouts are back. All right. And man, by their fruit, by their character, by their doing, by their doctrine, okay, by their conduct. You see? And that's why you go here to Jeremiah. Let's get this in Jeremiah. Okay, 28 and verse 8. This book of Jeremiah 28 and 8. And it says, the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries, okay, and against great kingdoms of war and of evil and the pestilence. All right, so you will have to link, all right, who's doing that today. When you look at, the different ministries, guys, they call themselves teachers and leaders amongst Israel. When you look at their ministry, or they're teaching against, okay, many countries and against great kingdoms of war, of evil and pestilence, because they will be at the forefront, okay, of a prophet's, okay, agenda to preach against, all right, the current rulership, even if it was Israel in rulership and they was off, okay, because Jeremiah was teaching against the southern kingdom, when they was in their sovereignty, and he was prophesying against them, okay, of war, all right, evil, the Babylonians was getting ready to roll, okay, so the true prophets will come in this spirit, just as the prophets of old. Okay, we won't be here trying to sell you prayers, trying to be your marriage counselors, okay, giving you, shields and, music videos. Okay, the prophets of old went on that. All right, they was about the message. Okay, and most of the time, all right, they will come with lamentation, mourning, and woe. Okay, and also they will have a hope, okay, of mercy, okay, for repentance. You see? So even when you go here, all right, if that's the case, with the prophets of old, well, they will come back doing, okay, the things that the prophets of old will be doing. Okay, prophecy will be at the forefront of the ministry. Things that's happening in real time, okay, dealing with what's written in the scriptures, that will be at the forefront, okay, of what prophets will be doing. Okay, the true prophets never were about gimmicks. Okay, they never joined themselves to, all right, the government of the heathen. Okay, they never did those things. All right, it wasn't friendly, to the current world order. All right, they was outcasts. People hated to see them coming. Okay, so the prophets of old, okay, are back today. Well, the sellouts are back too, and this is why Yahweh Shai said you should know a tree by its fruit. Okay, Matthew 7:14 said, beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are raven and wolves, man. Okay, they destroy your spirit, they devour your spirits. Okay, you people that's following, certain men, you're being devoured. You're being spiritually devoured, financially devoured. Okay, you see, you've been extorted, grifted, confused, intentionally confused. Okay, so you're dealing with a raven and wolf, aggressively destroying your spirit. Okay, and it says, ye shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns, or figs of thistles? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. Okay, and look at the doings of these men. Look at what they're getting caught up with. Okay, look at their instability when it comes to doctrine. Okay, because these men are corruptible. That's why you see constant corrupt behavior. Okay, so this is what we're seeing, amongst the ministry. All right, but this just shows you that the sellouts are back in their lot. Okay, it says a good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit, man. All right, and you look at their fruit, their doings. So you look at their doctrine, their conduct, their rebellion. Okay, the way that no reverence for the elders, and look at these men, how they move, how they operate. Okay, that's how you know. It says every tree bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and is cast into the fire, man. And see, we'll come to a time where the Lord finna start hewing these bad trees, man, because all they do is produce is bad fruit. Okay, that's why the congregation is just full of emotional niggas ready to defend, all right, the egos of these wicked men. Okay, they won't defend Yahushua. They won't defend the gospel for truth's sake. Okay, but they leave these long ass comments, all right, to defend the ego, okay, of men. Okay, rebellious, worldly women. You see, this is the fruit of these trees, man. And the Lord's finna hew those trees down. And a lot of them are reserved for what? Their fire, man. Their nuclear destruction. Okay? And this is what poor leadership will do. They will put Jake in a mindset that will lead to them being punished by the Most High. And this is what we're seeing today. Those same sellouts, that same poor leadership, they're back in their lots, setting Jake up for failure once again. And this is the ultimate failure. Okay? It said, wherefore by their fruits ye shall know them. Okay? So by their fruits, by their doing, okay, their actions, okay, you can know these men. You see? And they have the mindset of who? Of Edomites. These men that have sold out and made these deals, and they throwing up these signs, and they taking on the spirit, okay, of Edomites. Okay, and it's all about the right now. All right, Jake don't care about the birthright, the blessing, the promises, just like Esau didn't care. Okay, we're going to show you. Okay, so let's go here to the book of St. John. This is why Yahushua told them niggas, ye are of your father, okay, the devil. Okay, St. John 8:44 says, ye are your father, the devil, and the lust of your father you will do. Okay, so these nigga lust and desires have been likened unto Edomites, which is for the right now. Okay, so Esau has leverage on these niggas, man. Okay, because these niggas have a desire for the right now. They're not looking forward to the promises and the blessings and the kingdom that's in Yahushua, that's set to come. Okay, they have worldly ambition. They want clout and status now. Okay, and the man that's a slave to his lust shouldn't be in leadership. Okay, because now the people that he's following, they're a slave to his lust. Okay, because he's subjugated, all right, to put them in harm's way, just like an Edomite does. Esau will put millions, billions, okay, in harm's way for his desire. Okay, and these niggas do it on a small scale. They put hundreds and thousands, tens of thousands of Israelites, okay, in harm's way, all right, for their own desire. Okay, it says, in the lust of your father you will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh the lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. Okay, and these men don't mind speaking lies. Okay, lying is nothing to them, and no fear. Just like Esau has no fear of judgment of a higher power. Okay, that's why he's the most reckless heathen to ever do it. The most reckless to ever do it. You know, it sounds like an album cover. You know, but Esau, he's the most reckless heathen to ever do it. Okay, he don't give a damn on a whole nother level, and their spirit is on these men that he's gotten to sell out. They don't mind lying. Okay, as if there's no judgment for that. You know, these men do not mind, bold-faced lying, okay, for the sake of what? Their desires, okay, because Esau has opened them up to access to their desires, all right, so there's damn near nothing that these men won't do. So let's go from there, just to go back to Esau and his mindset, and that's the mindset he has pushed, okay, on these sellouts of today. So you go to Genesis 25, all right. This is Genesis 25 and 29. It says, and Jacob sighed pottage, and Esau came from the field and was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with the same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore his name, all right, was called Edom, which goes into red. You know, that's an indicator, one of the indicators in the spirit, today, Esau, so-called wife of love, all right, that uncooked meat, and pink ass steaks, okay, skin, light brown, that's Esau's spirit. Okay, so it's indicator, for the most part. You see, and you have niggas that get into that too. Once they hang around Esau, niggas is talking about a steak, all right, tartar. Okay, but let's get this in. It's in the A&P. See how it sound. I don't think I read this in the A&P yet. Get it, see if it spice it up a little bit. All right, so let's go back to Genesis 25, all right, and 29. It said Jacob, all right, had cooked, all right, reddish brown lentil stew, all right, when Esau came from the field and was famished. And Esau said to Jacob, please let me have a quick swallow of that red stuff there, because I'm exhausted and famished. For that reason, Esau was also called Edom, okay, red. And it said, Jacob answered, first sell me your birthright, okay, the rights of the firstborn, all right. So Jacob is making a proposition, okay. It says in latter times, as a footnote, in latter times, this was the right of the firstborn to take over the head of the family and to receive a double share of the inheritance. The rewards given to Jacob appear to have been even greater. Genesis 27 and 37. Furthermore, all right, in Israelite tradition, it was reported that before the tabernacle was set up, sacrifices were offered by the firstborn, okay, of the family. You see, and it was always meant for Jacob to receive the birthright. That's why the scriptures, Exodus 4:22, call what Jacob is firstborn. Okay, because we were firstborn in the spirit. Esau is firstborn in the flesh. Okay, which technically he was supposed to get the birthright from Isaac. Okay, but for the sake of controversy, the Lord had this play out exactly how it did. According to, all right, prophecy and how the Lord wanted to set up, okay, the atmosphere for Yahushua to return. He wanted Yahushua to return into a hostile atmosphere between Jacob and Esau. Okay, Jacob answered, first sell me your birthright, the rights of a firstborn. Esau said, look, I am about to die. If I do not eat soon, so of what use is the birthright to me? So of what use is the birthright to me? And this is a mindset. You see, he was concerned about the right now. Okay, he didn't have a vision. Okay, for this promise, for this birthright, what was given, to Abraham and Isaac. Esau, he didn't see no value in it because it wasn't right now. Okay, just like Jake. Jake is concerned with the right now. These men, okay, they don't mind lying to you, okay, because it enhances their right now. You see, they don't care about what's promised unto us as a people. That has nothing to do with them. They need something now, okay, which is what? The spirit of an Edomite. You see, it said, Jacob swore an oath to me today that you're selling it to me for this food. So he swore an oath to him and sold him his birthright. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and lentil stew, and he ate and drank and got up and went, all right, on his way. All right, in this way, Esau scorned his birthright. All right, and that's what he got these niggas doing, not caring about the kingdom to come. Okay, but Esau has started pampering these niggas now, and they cool. Okay, Jake straight. So Jake has taken on the mindset, okay, of an Edomite. All right, this is why Yahweh Shai was saying that about these niggas, man. Let's get this here real quick. Let me get some more precepts. I just want to go into this. All right, these niggas are back, man. Okay. So let's go. So I asked it, were certain members of the Sanhedrin rubbing elbows with the Roman elite during the time of the Messiah? Short answer, all right. Yes, some members of the Sanhedrin did have contact and political interaction with the Roman elite during the time of Yahushua, but this varied by faction and social rank. Below is clear, okay, below is clear, historically grounded explanation. The Sanhedrin was not a single unified group. The Sanhedrin, okay, was composed of the high priest, all right, and the chief priest, mostly from the Sadducees party, elders, which were the aristocratic families, and the scribes and Pharisees, which were legal experts, all right. And that's why Apostle Paul was so savvy, in the law, all right, because he come from the sect of the Pharisees, all right. The Sadducees, all right, that was more of the social, okay, elite class of the priests, okay, is going to get into. All right. Now them niggas was on like some black boule type. You know how they was moving. All right. The scribes and Pharisees, they was really into, the law. Okay. And the scriptures. You see, now some of them, was over righteous and, doing too much. But some of them were just sincere men. There was more of the common, all right, Israelite. All right. But of the Sadducees, these were the higher ups, which the high priest was amongst, all right, the sect of the Sadducees. Okay. It says the powerful priestly aristocracy, especially the Sadducees, were the ones who most frequently interacted with Roman authorities. The high priesthood was closely tied to Rome. By Yahushua's time, Rome directly appointed or approved the high priest. This means high priests like Caiaphas in office AD 18 to 36 held power because they were acceptable to Roman governors. Okay? They were acceptable to Roman governors, man. All right? They were the lapdogs, okay, of the Roman government. All right? They said they had to maintain order in Judea to keep Roman favor. And that's why Caiaphas was losing about Yahushua. Because his whole duty was to keep Judea subservient to Rome. Okay? And the Sadducees didn't mind Jake, moving like the Romans. The Pharisees, they didn't like Jake, living like the Romans. The Sadducees, they didn't mind whatever it took to keep, order and peace. So they didn't mind Jake moving like Romans, man. Okay, long as it kept order. You see? It said it was coming for them to negotiate or cooperate with Roman prefects like Pontius Pilate. It said the high priestly families, example, Annas, all right, Annas, Annas, I believe he's in the book of Acts. He comes after Caiaphas. Caiaphas and Boethus and others were wealthy, politically savvy aristocrats who frequently dealt with the Roman elite. They was up. They was up there. Okay? So these men, Yahweh Shai's doctrine, they didn't care about the poor being preached the gospel. They didn't care about the poor being fed, the miracles. Okay? Jake had ailments. Jake able to, you got to think about it. Jake was blind and crippled. Now Jake walking and can see and can hear, can speak. Them niggas like, damn, he got to go. Just because it was a threat to their situation. It wasn't, they didn't look at, okay, then our people are being helped. They ain't look at it from their perspective. Just like today, these guys don't care about y'all, man. They care about them. Okay? They put on this appearance like they just, all about the people. You see? But Jake cared about them when Yahweh Shai became a threat to these niggas' status and these niggas' lifestyle, he had to go. They didn't care how much he was helping. Okay? Jake was in captivity. They didn't care how much Yahweh Shai was for his people. You see? That didn't factor in. The only thing that factored in was their situation. Okay? And these same men are back in that same spirit to where the only thing that matters is their circumstance. They don't care what you niggas believe. Okay? They don't care they don't care how confused you are. Okay? Long as their personal circumstances remain the same, their lifestyle remains the same, they don't care. Okay? So, going back into it, says rubbing elbows, if an overstatement, but political contact was real. They were not socializing casually with Roman elites at banquets or clubs. Yeah, they were do boys. All right, they was the help. That's why Howard Shah said, y'all niggas from below, man. Okay? Y'all content, all right, with being these lap dogs, these do boys. Okay? The tap dance for Rome. Okay? It said the Roman Israelite social mixing was limited, but there were political cooperation and communication. For example, discussing public order before major festivals such as Passover, handling legal matters, which them niggas was running, a racket. Okay, with the Passover, the money exchanges and the and the merchants. Okay, under the oversight of the priest. Okay, these niggas were running rackets during the time of Passover and the other pilgrimages, the Feast of Weeks and the Feast of Tabernacles. Okay, it says handling legal matters where Rome retained authority, including capital cases, ensuring tax compliance and preventing revolts, coordinating with the Roman garrison stationed next to the temple at the Antonia fortress. Okay, so they were juiced in. Okay, they had to check in just like the 501c3. Okay, requires you to check in. What the hell are you doing? What they doing? What you doing? You see? It says, so while personal friendships were unlikely, regular political interactions were unavoidable. it said the Pharisees, where the sect Apostle Paul come from, were less connected to Rome. Pharisees generally represented the non-aristocratic classes, opposed Roman cultural influence, had less direct access to Roman authorities. Thus, Pharisees and the Sanhedrin were far less likely to interact with Roman elites. Now, the Pharisees, they were more of a sincere sect. Okay, they were just over righteous. All right, you had some of them. Like I said, their main thing was they would be over righteous. Okay, in the law, you see, and they was looking at Yahushua like he was too lax in the law. Okay, but you had those of the Pharisees, that converted. Okay, now the Sadducees, you see, the majority of them guys, they were so juiced in, they were so, well off. Okay, that they were good. Okay, so let's go from there. The conclusion that yes, the uppermost aristocratic members of the Sanhedrin, especially the Sadducean high priest families, were in regular political contact with the Roman elite. All right, but with this pragmatic interaction, okay, not friendly, but this was pragmatic interaction, not friendly social mixing. Okay, so these niggas were do boys. Okay, and it came with perks. Okay, and their whole thing was to keep Jake in check. All right, not to teach the gospel, not to teach our people righteousness, to be separate. Okay, to walk in a particular way. No. Okay, their thing was their own situation. Okay, and that's why you see now niggas have taken on that same mind frame, because you go to the book of Job. All right, because you got that money and that status, that power. Okay, that's a strong demon. You got the money to do this. And, in this world you have money. People look at you a certain way, and this, it put demons on you, man. Okay, let's go here. Let's go 21, Job 21:14 said, yeah, they say to the Most High, depart from us, for we do not desire the knowledge of your ways. And this is the mind of the wicked. It says, who and what is the Almighty that we should serve him? And what will we gain if we plead with him? Okay, so these are the mind of the Edomites, man, because they're like, we winning without doing nothing he tell us to do. And Jake, they start winning by being rebellion, and they get in this same mind frame. Okay, so Esau like, we winning, and we don't do nothing he say. So why would we humble down and try to do things right? Like, we'll lose money. Be fair with people, Like, no, we been getting over on people and hit, and people still look at us like we for their good. So what we like? They look at serving the Lord as going backwards. Okay, and Jake has taken on their mindset. Okay, that's why Jake can't do it without the gimmicks and the games and the 501c3 and the perks and the sellouts. Okay, because you go here, Jake had taken on their mindset. When you go to the book of Malachi, Malachi. Yep. This is Malachi 3 and 13. All right. And this is the Lord addressing Israel. All right, through Malachi. And it says, your words have been harsh against me, says the Lord, Yahweh B'Shem Al-Shai, because you say, what have we spoken against you? Okay, You have said it is useless to serve the Most High. This is Israelites. What profit is it if we keep his ordinance and walk around like mourners before the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Shai of hosts, man? So the same mind that Esau, all right, the wicked has, Jake take on this same, okay, because Jake look at the heathen being prosperous around them, and they're not held to the law, the standard of the law. So Jake will look at the prosperity, because this during the time of the Medo-Persian Empire. Jake look at the prosperity of the wicked and be like, what's the point? You know? So what would Jake do? They will conform to the heathen. Okay, in the Maccabees, what did Jake do in the book of Maccabees? Okay, what was Jake think? Jake couldn't wait. Jake just can't wait. You know, Jake can't suffer this thing out until that blessing come, man. And then there's a conduct that's required of the Lord. Okay, that's part of the fight. The Lord wants us to have patience. That's the part of the fight. The Lord wants us to do right. All right, where doing right doesn't profit financially in this side. Okay, you don't get clout. You're not like. It's the exact opposite. You see, and the Lord wants us to stand for righteousness when it's not popular. He wants us to stand for righteousness, because if we can stand for righteousness when it's not popular, man, when righteousness is a standard, man, it's gonna be a breeze. Okay, the Lord is grooming us for something, man. Okay, something bigger than what we see. Okay, this current situation, but Jake don't have that faith to see that. Then Jake feels entitled, like they owe something. Okay, this is First Maccabees chapter 1. All right, in 10 it says, and there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus named Epiphanes. Okay, son of Antiochus the king, who had been in hostage in Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom. Okay, of the kingdom of the Greeks. Okay, so this is when the Greeks was in power. Okay, and what do you have then? In those days, went there out of Israel wicked men, okay, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us, for since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow, man. Okay, so Jake wanted the perks that come with following the heathen, worshiping the gods of the heathen. You'll get instant perks and privileges, and you'll, be able to network. You see, when you see worshiping Zeus put you in the network, okay, where you can deal and you can move and shake, Jupiter and Bacchus, when you attend these festivals, that put you in position, to win amongst the heathen. Okay, but following the Lord, okay, it separates you from amongst the heathen. Okay, and Jake just couldn't deal. Jake had to have it, man. Okay, and that's why a lot of Israelites, okay, are gonna come into the kingdom with their head down, man, because it's gonna be known like this is what you sold out. They're gonna come into the kingdom and see the splendor, the glory of people, in order. And they're gonna see this is what you was fighting against for some goddamn heathen, man. Okay, so everybody's back, in their lot. All right, and this is what we're seeing play out. Okay, is these men, okay, they've taken, you see, the taking the easy way out. Okay, they not built, they wasn't built to endure. Okay, and that's why we can go back to, let's go to Hebrews 11 and get this account again. This is the mindset we should be in. This is the book of Hebrews 11. And 24 said, by faith, all right, Moses, when he had grown up, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter because he preferred to endure the hardship of the people of the Most High rather to enjoy the passing pleasures of sin. You see, Moses was a visionary. All right. And what did he have faith in? He considered the reproach of Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai. Okay. This is the rebuke he will suffer for this faithful obedience to the Most High to be greater wealth than all the treasures of Egypt, for he looked ahead and to the reward promised by the Most High. You see that? And it takes faith. Everything that this devil got in this kingdom ain't worth what we got coming, man. Moses was like, look, man, look, ain't done nothing compared to what's coming. You see? Because there was a promise made to a certain lineage, man, and Moses knew about that promise, man. Okay? So he knew, he didn't mind the suffering that came with being obedient to the Most High. Okay? Because he esteemed what the Most High promised greater wealth than all the treasure of Egypt. You see, it's a certain mindset that's going to get the victory, man. It's certain men that the Lord just got built a certain way, man. Okay? Lord, will we endure? You see, Lord, will we endure, man, and we keep this mindset going down the stretch, man. You see, it says, for he looked ahead to the reward promised, okay, by the Most High. Okay? So that's the mindset, you know, that we're in. Okay? Is that we value what's promised more than the right now. You know, and it's a place of peace too. We ain't tripping on nothing, man. We good. We ain't gotta be light. We don't need to be popular, you know. You see, we don't need, you know, ease, validation. Okay, those things don't even factor in. Understanding what we got coming. Verse 27, by faith he left Egypt. And see, we have left this place spiritually. And that's another thing too, man. As we grow in your house shop, man, like, you know, this speaking for me personally, man, I'm disgusted by a lot of this, man. You know, because the shit that come in with the things, the things of this world come with so much entanglement and confusion and dysfunction and mental, you know, mental games and, you know, manipulations and plan and all that. I hate that shit. You know, I wouldn't want to be tied to all this shit, man. You know, I'm grateful for the space that the Lord has allotted me to serve him. That's more value to me than $1 trillion. Okay? Whatever after $1 trillion. You see? You see? It said by faith he left Egypt, being afraid of the wrath of the king. It says, being unafraid of the wrath of the king, for he endured steadfastly and seeing him who is unseen, which is Yahweh Bashim Al Shai. Okay? And a lot of you Jakes, you think Esau gonna be cool on you in you know, in the transition to the new world order, like Esau, you know, like long as you in favor with Esau, you good. See, you Jake, you value being in favor with Esau more than being in favor with Yahweh Bashim Al Shai. You know, but we'll see how that play out. All right, so that was the point. You know, just wanted to get into that. You know, Lord will. You know, you brothers, all right, and you sisters, edify once again. We give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Kakodash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elder GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers, and peace and blessings salutations to the hopeful Shalom.